Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special call board meeting May 29th at 6 p.m. in the Estill County Board of Education boardroom located at 253 Main Street in Irving, Kentucky. At this time, I'd like to call our meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone, and let's stand by saying our pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to remind everyone there's a sign-in sheet as you come into the boardroom if you'd like to sign in. First on our agenda this evening, we have some action items to take care of. First of all, we have consideration for a couple of out-of-state trips. One is for our FCCLA National Meeting in Seattle, Washington, June 28th through July 3rd, and the other one is an out-of-state overnight for Skills USA state location trip to Atlanta, Georgia, which is June 24th through 28th of 2024. Mr. Rock, would you like to add anything to that?
No, I mean, we've talked about these before. Obviously, FCCLA is the national competition where our kids won at the state level and they get to compete, and the other is tied to the ATC for Skills USA where they have also won and get to compete, and it would be my recommendation that we approve both of these.
Okay. I'd like to call for a motion to approve both the out-of-state trips as discussed. I have a motion by Sheila Samples. I have a second by Tammy Hardy. Do we have any discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Motion carries with a 4-0 vote. Next on our agenda, we have a presentation of Capstone Project. Mr. Rock, would you like to share with this and tell us what this is concerning?
So every new superintendent in the state has to go through a cohort. I'm part of cohort 12 as a brand new superintendent. Part of the completion of that program is a capstone where you go through evidence throughout the year showing the different standards and that you have met those standards. I've put together a presentation tonight to kind of go over those standards and some other things. There's some pictures and stuff we'll go through, but this is basically just my project at the end of my cohort to show evidence for all 7 standards. Now, it's not everything obviously that we've done all year long, but we've just picked 4 or 5 things for every standard, and we'll go through that tonight. So if you're all ready, I will begin. And I would usually get up, but because we're online and because I don't have a mic, because Mr. Simpson's had us running late tonight, you know, as usual, didn't get time to get me a mic, and I'll just sit here and do it from here. So this is my presentation, Superintendent of Estill County Schools, Cohort 12, and obviously it is tonight. It is now. So, I mean, this is just a picture from graduation and board membering. Our theme for the year was engineering success, and I think we'll continue that next year. And I do feel like, or I don't feel like we can prove from this presentation from some of our numbers that we have had a lot of success this year. First of all, I would like to acknowledge some people. Obviously, I'm very grateful to the student, staff, and everybody that's partnered with this community, the Board of Education for their support this year. Special thanks to my ILP team, Dr. Carter, Mr. Watts, and Ms. Isford. They've been part of my leadership team this year, and we actually just met before this. And my leadership team, my district staff, coaches, principals, directors. We could not have made the progress we've made this year without everything that they have poured into as well. We set lofty goals, and we've met a lot of those. Because of the leadership in this district, not just mine, the leadership of everybody that has come together in this district to help us accomplish the things we've been able to do. At the beginning of the year, my professional growth plan, I had 3 things on it. I wanted to increase the number of students who are post-secondary ready in the district by 10%. We fell just short of that. They were 87% last year. They're at 95.3, so that's a total of 8.3%. So we got close to that goal. We didn't accomplish that goal. That was a pretty lofty goal, but if I feel like in my leadership, if I'm going to tell my principals to set goals they don't feel like they can attain, I needed to set one too and try our best to reach it. So that would have put us at 97% for the year. Like I said, we fell just a little bit short, and we ended up at 95.3. We wanted to develop an MTSS, multi-tiered system support and progress monitoring system to support students moving forward toward proficiency in K-12. There's evidence in the presentation, and when we go through the standards, there's evidence of that, but we have developed a MTSS system, and we do have a progress monitoring system, and that will continue on next year. And to support and lead schools in monitoring student progress, to assist in providing good data to make educational decisions. That's part of the progress monitoring system in the data meetings we'll talk about here in a minute. So standard one, strategic leadership. You can see there's a picture of the very beginning of the school year when we set the goal and the vision for everybody. And then that's a picture of me meeting with all principals when we, at the very beginning of the year, when I also told them what I wanted them to accomplish and set goals for them. So just some things we've done this year to demonstrate this standard. We've used leadership team meetings for planning and feedback. We've implemented and modeled coaching. I said in that opening presentation at the beginning of the year that I believe everybody deserves a coach. That includes me. Some of my coaches are here tonight, but I've been coaching, and the leadership team at central office has also coached principals, and principals and district coaches have coached teachers all year long. So it's really, truly a model that we have used district-wide, and I think that's definitely part of the reason we've had some success. We set expectations at the summer meetings. I actually met with the district team before I officially started July 1, and we set those expectations in May, and then we continued to have meetings. We had a summer retreat where we really honed in on those things. We've held the MTSS meetings this year. We've had some help with SESC coming in to help us kind of mold that, and we've had district personnel kind of take the lead on that. I have overseen it, but we have a good plan this year, and we will also continue to work on that for next year. That's actually from the meeting where I discussed the PESEL standards with the principals and broke down the standards with them, and they went around. We kind of did a little, it's almost like stations from teaching where everyone added to each standard so that they understood what the expectation was, and I told them the two main ones, which were academic instruction and leadership, that I would be looking at for this year. Obviously, professional growth plans throughout the different self-reflections. Those are things that are required. Opening day, we had a unified vision. You all were there when we did that. Conducted principal surveys and professional growth plans with them. We began a new teacher academy this year, which is one thing that we were able to accomplish that I actually had slated for the following year. But after we got to probably October-ish, and I saw the need was great, and Mr. Cornett came on board with us at that point. He and I worked together, and we had 3 leads within the district, Charlotte O'Brien, Miss Mays, and then Miss Napier came on later. But we couldn't wait till next year because the need was so great this year with our young teachers and all of our Option 6 people. And then obviously the planned PD and the casting the vision for the year. We've actually completed our PD, 2 days of it for next year, which will bring thoughtful classroom in, which just raises the rigor and brings more high-yield instructional strategies to the district. We have a plan on how that will be implemented and how that we will monitor that to make sure that it's being utilized. Standard 2, instructional leadership. Just at the top right is a picture of the proficiency measure check for the high school. I have one also. You can see the little tabs down there for the middle school. Estill Springs and West Irvin and South Irvin had one too. But it was just a very condensed version this year where we had monthly data meetings, and we looked at progress monitoring from classroom data, from ACT data, from iExcel, and from iReady to see where students were at, and then had principals through conversation to talk about what the plan was to improve the areas that needed to be improved. We've modeled coaching in the district. I've already talked about that. And we really got district administration to foster that and collaboration through professional growth. And when I say coaching, I don't mean cycles. Some of the old coaching was you would go through all these cycles. This is more of a conversational coaching model that can be adapted to fit whatever the need is. So it could be instructional strategies, it could be around data, it could be around improvements, it could be around social emotional. So the way that it's structured is kind of it's not specifically hard laid out cycles. It's tailored to fit the need of what's going on at the time, whether it be a teacher, a principal, or whoever. I've already mentioned the data meetings. We had those monthly. We've purchased lots of high quality instructional materials this year. iReady. We've got Ready Reading, Magnetic, and we had the math. We had Amplifying Bridges. The rigor just wasn't there, and we had to move to something different. We also had iExcel, and we had some curriculum purchased, some curriculum resources purchased for the high school and the middle school as well. You can't purchase a good curriculum. You purchase good resources, and then you build a good curriculum from them, because if there was one curriculum that could fix everything, everybody in the state would be using it and everybody would be distinguished. So these are just instructional materials that help us to build a good curriculum. Progress monitoring throughout the school year, and you can see a data meeting down there at the bottom from one of the elementary schools where I was at the meeting where they're talking about the data and they're talking about the progress monitoring and making decisions for kids. And then I worked with principals all year long to deconstruct data and to talk about the PD days and the plan going forward. And then worked with every director in the district, and that started back in the summer at CASA. Cultural leadership, you can see the picture there at the top left, senior sunrise, when I went and spoke to all seniors and my expectations for them during the year. And I've been in classrooms, I've talked to multiple teachers. The picture's not up there. I got the opportunity to do some goal setting with students for KSA. And one particular student at Estill Springs requested that I come down, and he was thrilled, as Miss Mullins said, because he got to goal set with the boss of all bosses. It just thrilled me to be there with him. I'll take the pictures later on the presentation, but so setting those expectations. There's a picture there from me and Mr. Cornett where we fed the high school, and then there's a picture where we had barbecued for one of the schools, or central office one. I'm not sure. It looks like that one's central office. And then obviously for culture, we purchased things for the teachers throughout the year. Also worked with the legislature all year long. You all know that. I spent a whole lot of time in Frankfurt trying to get us some funding for the new middle school, but also for seat base in general. And you all have heard me say we're a property poor district versus property rich districts, and the inequity of funding there. And we continue to work on that. I'm actually got seated on a committee that's supposed to work on that sometime during this summer. Representative Truitt is leading that. We implemented the new teacher academy for support for new teachers. We've already talked about that. Coaching protocols, we've already talked about that. Just attending extracurricular events, connecting with students, being in classrooms. I think you all have heard multiple times this year that kids have seen me, and they've seen me in classrooms, and they know who I am because they've seen me in buildings, and get into buildings all the time. We'll even be in more next year. Expectations for all students through our progress monitoring system and the way that we track improvement from school to school. District focal points for leadership, that was part of our summer institute where I rolled out the 4 focal points, and then which ones specifically we were going to focus on this year. The 4 is part of the plan over the next 4 years to make sure we're focusing on all of them. And this summer when we meet again, we'll pick a few more. I don't believe in picking multiple things. I believe that you need to pick 2 or 3 things and get really good at it before you add the next. You can get focused so wide that you check boxes and don't do things with fidelity, and I believe that you need to do things with fidelity. So that's part of that summer meeting. The gifts for the staff, cooking lunch, and speaking to the seniors. And there's other things, but that's all that would fit on the presentation. Standard 4, human resource leadership. We have attended more recruitment sessions this year than we have in the years past. We got invited to 2 at EKU. We attended both of those, and principals actually got to go to one of them this spring, just about the time that teachers were graduating from the program, and that was successful in that we hired teachers that principals spoke to that day and got them in the district. So getting them posted early and going to those has helped us fill some of our position. The job fairs, that one I think is the one from, I can't remember if that was EKU or that may have been KEDC's. No, that one's EKU's. But we also went one for KDC, and then we're talking about actually hosting our own next year just for our district. So there's plans for that. Strategic planning for the summer PD to focus on 2 or 3 things. We started that with coaches back in the fall, so we've had our plan for next year and what we're going to focus on since October of last year. And so the coaches and principals are going to be leading that, and the district admin for a big part. So we have been working with them and had trainers come in and work with them from October leading up to the May PD that we did on the 23rd and the 24th. So they were already experts in what we're going to implement next year so that they could help lead the training. So when the training came, we had not just the people who came to do the training, the 4 people, we also already had experts within district that people were familiar with. And so that's part of that planning for that summer PD, and then setting expectations for everyone. Again, I wanted to give credit to Miss Mays, Miss O'Brien, and Miss Napier for a lot of the work in that new teacher academy, but also our district coaches had a big part in that as well, and they'll have a big part in that moving forward. I will say from this, one thing that has stemmed out of this and stemmed out of the coaching model that I keep talking about, and the new teacher academy as well, but the coaching model in particular is we got invited to EduCon this summer, so our coaches and our principals will be presenting on that coaching model and what a difference it's made in our district this year. And then our Miss O'Brien told me a couple weeks ago, we've also been selected for the fall continuous improvement summit, where our district will be highlighted, and they will be able to present and show some of the great things that's going on. We've also been visited by 3 districts this year multiple times to see what we've got going on through the coaching and the new teachers so that they can take it back and implement it in their district. Managerial leadership. So we talk about being in classrooms and we talk about data. We actually purchased a platform for that called eWalk. It made Jeremy pull what little hair he had out this year for a little while, but I think we have it squared away and we're ready to go. So next year, and you've heard me talk about the importance of being in classrooms. I require principals to be in all classrooms at least once a week and assistant principals to be in half at least once a week. We will ramp that up next year. I did keep up with eWalk this year and look at how many walkthroughs are going. We're going in each school. Next year, that'll be part of those monthly data meetings, and they will have targets, and if they're not meeting them being in classrooms, then we're going to have discussions on why they're not meeting them being in classrooms, because that's where it's happening, and that's where they need to be. Diagnostics tools, which have helped us with our progress monitoring all year. I took some screenshots here on the right. There's a comparing the very first of the year. So if you look up there at the top, that one is math. And if you look at the bottom, that's where we were at the beginning of the year. The green is distinguished and proficient. The yellow is somewhere proficient and apprentice. And then the red is novice. And it also deals with grade levels, but that's roughly how it translates. You can notice from the bottom graph at the top, which was the projection where we would be at the end of this year, proficiency. That was the projection where we would be. So it was projecting at the beginning of the year we'd have 14% proficient at the end of this year in reading district-wide. Well, you can see that we have far more than 14% at the end of the year. So that shows you the progress we made in math at the top. And at the bottom, you can see the projection was 24% at the beginning of the year. And if you look for reading at the bottom, we ended the year at 46%. So we've made some really good academic progress this year based on from where we started to where we ended the year. That's part of those diagnostic tools. We've had external audits that we've looked at this year for finances and for other things. Obviously, the budget that we're continuing to work on and we'll bring back in June. Maximize time. You all know I'm not a meet for the sake of meeting person, so we get the most out of our meetings through agendas and through staying on track. And then evaluations of personnel to measure effectiveness. One thing that I had my principals do at the very beginning of the year when I met with them the first time was I wanted them to bring me, with no names on them because it doesn't matter, I wanted to bring me the evaluation of the best teacher in their building from last year, and then one that wasn't maybe necessarily quote unquote the worst, but was just okay, an average, what they would consider average. And then we compared the results. How are you scoring a teacher that you say is exceptional versus how you're scoring one that you feel like needs a little bit of work? Because teachers talk about those things, and if I say you're phenomenal and I say you're good but you've got to have some work and the scores are exactly the same, what am I really telling you? And it's not that we're out to get anybody, but everybody needs to improve, and that's where that coaching comes from. I mean, I'm getting scored on what I'm doing tonight and what I've done in the cohort all year, and I'll continue to grow, and it's having that growth mindset. So those are some of the things that we've done as well. Collaborative leadership, we've got all kinds of partners. We've got Southeast, South Central, we've got KEDC, we've got CKEC, and obviously KSBA. We've wrote and had several newspaper articles, been on the news several times. I don't know if you all saw last week or not with the middle school. I thought they did a very positive story on that. I was a little bit worried when they reached out to me and said, hey, we want to tour the middle school, but we always try to spin it positive if we can, and not just spin it. I mean, we want our kids to be safe and we want them to have the best, so I wanted to stress that. So those type of things. We've got partnerships with BCTC, Moorhead, Larry, and EKU. And we're going to try to get some more partnerships with others. Obviously, we've collaborated with principals all year long and our community partners. We have a new aviation program. This year it'll be more exploratory, where we have the simulator coming in, and we're just going to have kids have the opportunity to get on that simulator and just kind of see if aviation is something they would be interested in. Interestingly enough, at a ball game the other night, that was one of the things one of the parents wanted to talk to me about, was when the aviation program would be up and going. I told them, well, we had it coming for next year, and at first it would be more of an exploratory, but then I've already met with EKU. There's opportunity for us to do the dual credit classes. Worked with local and state to bring new opportunities to our district, such as aviation and some other things. We've got a welding program coming in. As you all know, at the ATC, we've added another ag teacher at the high school so that we can have multiple pathways. One will focus more on plant, the other will focus on animal. And then there's the picture of our young man who graduated from Bluegrass College and got his associate's degree and then went on to Louisville. And then there's the banner. Obviously, we were talking before the meeting about having to do the KSBA Association next year, and that's from this year. So, 7, influential leadership. We obviously keep our policies, board policies and procedures updated. Our progress monitoring, the new teacher academy, coaching model, job fairs. We've talked about all those. Corrective action plans for staff. Unfortunately, sometimes those things have to be done, and when they need to be done, we've not shied away from that. But I will say that every time that's happened, we've seen improvement. We've had the ag campaign that you all are aware of. We've worked toward more SEEK funding, and we'll continue to do that, and funding for the middle school. Like I said, I'm on that committee that's supposed to start meeting to try to look at that and balance that out. And we want to continue our partnerships with universities and even strengthen those. And then just pictures of talking to students, being with staff during PD. That PD is actually from the beginning of the year. That's a picture from the bus garage going up and talking with them and feeding them breakfast some this year and feeding them lunch. And then the other one is from West Urban, I think, when I went out there and worked with faculty. So that's the 7 standards. Next steps for next year, we want to continue to focus on academic improvement and opportunities for kids. Very pleased with the work we've done this year, but we've got to continue to focus on that. We're going to expand our progress monitoring system and add a few pieces to that to include professional growth of staff and of our leadership. We want to sustain our new teacher academy and expand that a little bit. Part of that new teacher academy will be also bringing in a grow your own, like a leadership academy next year. So we're going to start that next year as well to give people within our district who want to step up as leaders, whether it be a coach or a director or a principal or assistant principal or a lead teacher or whatever that may look like. We're going to give those the opportunities through that as well, and we have a plan for that. Expand some of our partnerships with the communities and universities. We're going to continue our standards work and alignment. That work is never done. We've done a really good job this year getting a good foundation with that, but that can always be improved. We do have some of our diagnostics are external, some of them are internal. We've got all of our standards aligned with our test this year, but now we have to bump up rigor so that we can have two different data sets to look at, the external and the internal, and we'll want to continue that. Thoughtful Classroom is the high yield strategies that I talked about. That's that PD from the 23rd and 24th, and it really brings a lot of rigor, but it also adds to the layer of deconstructing those standards and bringing that instruction to a higher level within the classroom. And we want to sustain the work in trying to get more funding for our district because we really are engineering success. And I got to write a little thing in the new teachers' books at the end of the year. We bought them a book, and I've said this for years and years. I don't know that I came up with it. I'm not going to try to take credit for it, but it's absolutely true. And it's how we love and care for our students goes far beyond what we teach them. I have teachers that I remember from high school and from college, not necessarily because I remember all the content, but I remember that they truly loved me and cared about me. And that's what's important as our kids, and we want to make sure we keep that focus. Just some pictures here from classroom. One's when Maggie came and visited, and the kids loved her. One of our therapy animals graduation walk. That's KYA. And then that's the first ever engineering walk that we're going to continue every year. So big success there. A bunch of kids and students turned out to that. Just some more pictures. Different things, different people. Me being silly at West Urban at the beginning of the year. There's my little buddy that I got the goal set with. And I asked him, it's funny, after school was over, I was at El Ranchito the other night, and I'm walking through, and I hear, Mr. Brock. And I turn around, and there he was. So we got to talk a little bit, and I had to remind him, I said, now, don't forget, you got to tell Miss Mullins when your football games are this summer so that I can come watch them. So he was pretty excited about that. We got chosen to paint the snowplow. I know you all know that. That's the kids, and that's actually from our KSBA, I think. And then that's where we just fed every different school and different things that went on there, Facebook post. It's been an honor to serve the student, staff, and the community and the school board of Estill County, and I'm looking forward to several years to continue to serve you all. So thank you. Do you all have any questions or?
Pretty self-explanatory.
All right. Thank you all. It's been a great year. I really have enjoyed it, and I look forward to good years to come.
Would any of our guests like to speak?
I'll go first.
Mr. Simpson, do we have a microphone?
Please.
Please.
We have a rule here, you have to sing and dance.
I can't chew gum and walk at the same time, so that's gonna be a problem. I'm a retired superintendent, and it's been my honor to serve as his executive coach this year. I want the board to know that he has represented you well. It's been a hard year in terms of requirements because he and I have been together 17 days throughout the school year. That means 17 days he's been out of the district, about 1.5 per month. We've got one more session on June 10th, June 11th. We'll be out a day and a half in Frankfurt, and then he'll have all the days out of the district wrapped up. In addition to that, he's had some virtual training sessions that he's had to do in his office online. He's had lots of written requirements. So there's a whole lot to it. And you say, well, big deal. It is a big deal, and I've been doing this 13 years. I can tell you not every superintendent passes. It's not an automatic pass, and you say, well, what happens if he doesn't pass? He loses his superintendent certificate and he loses his job, and that has happened, unfortunately. But in his case, he's passing with flying colors. His capstone was excellent. His work throughout the year has been excellent. I've enjoyed working with him, have enjoyed getting well acquainted with him throughout the year. And great things are going on here. You as board members, you knocked a home run when you hired this guy. He's, and I used this illustration earlier, that old saying about still waters run deep. He's not one who's shouting from the mountaintops, but there's a whole lot in there. He's very intelligent. He's very organized. He's very focused on academics, and he knows that he loves kids and he wants what's best for kids. And if you put that together, I sense that's what, you know, the board and the superintendent are paddling the boat in the same direction on that one.
For sure.
And so I think good things are going to happen in the future here. He'll receive his certificate from the new commissioner on July the 24th in Louisville. It'll be a lunch meeting, and it's at Jeff Ruby's. If you've heard of Jeff Ruby's, a pretty good steak there. And I told him earlier, I said, when I got my new superintendent certificate, they gave us a bologna sandwich. But it's stepped up a little bit now, and that'll be very nice. And then next year, of course, he'll have at least 17 additional days to devote to here. And as I understand it, he's just bought a house here and is moving in by this Friday, have everything moved. So
Yep.
Things are really looking good. So congratulations. Great
Thank you.
job. And here's his mentor superintendent.
Well, my name's Philip Watts. I'm a superintendent at Breathitt County Schools. I've just completed 7 years, and it's been an honor to work with Mr. Brock. And I've got to meet Donna over the years. I really appreciate her. And you guys, everywhere Mr. Brock goes, he really brags on his board. He's so supportive of you all. You can see all the evidence and the passion and the love and the presentation today and caring about kids. So I'm between you all on vacation and probably an adjournment. So if you guys ever need anything, let me know. Mr. Brock, me and him's had a lot of conversations this year. I'm real proud of him and just super excited for the work you guys are doing. And I learn as much by coming tonight as he probably has learned from me, and I'm just very thankful for that and just honored and just super excited what you guys are doing. I've been down to look at your vocational school a few times. We're trying to rebuild from the flood. He's been real supportive of that, everything from looking at the floors. I've brought my architect down. I've looked at your bus garage. I'm trying to catch up on some things. You guys keep motivating me, and hopefully I can motivate him. And I'm just thankful and honored to be here tonight. Great job, Mr. Brock.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming. We appreciate you being here. We're so proud of Mr. Brock, and we'd like to say congratulations on this great accomplishment. I know there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went